study point. Today I am going to discuss some important questions regarding the examination point of view from the chapter Nationalism in Europe for class 10. So let us start the question. What was the aim of the Treaty of Vienna signed in 1815? What was the aim of the Treaty of Vienna signed in 1815? The main aim of the Treaty of Vienna was to restore old conservative order. The main aim of the Treaty of Vienna was to restore old conservative order. It is only its answer. Its main aim was to restore old conservative order. The next question, name the European powers that defeated Napoleon in 1815. These European powers were England, Russia, Prussia and Austria. England, Russia, Prussia and Austria. European powers who defeated Napoleon were England, Russia, Austria and Prussia. The next question, which group from the European middle class in 19th century formed the middle class? Which group? Here, this question, it is very important question. Name the groups who formed the middle class in the 19th century in Europe. Who belongs to the middle class in 19th century Europe. The middle class was formed by the industrialists, businessmen and professionals. They were the industrialists, businessmen and professionals. Industrialists, businessmen and professionals constituted for the middle class, European middle class in 19th century. Once again listen, industrialists, businessmen and professionals constituted the European middle class in 19th century. The next question, what is meant by romanticism? What is meant by romanticism? Romanticism, it was a cultural movement. Romanticism, it was a cultural movement which sought to develop a particular form of nationalist feeling. Romanticism, it was a cultural movement. It was a cultural movement who sought to develop a particular form of nationalist movement based on culture, which was not only based on culture, it was based on the people's way of life. As I have discussed many times, what do you mean by the term culture? Culture is the way of life which includes our dressing, it includes our food habits, it includes our tradition, festivals, song, music. These all things together forms the culture. And this romanticism, it was based on the culture only. It was a cultural movement which sought to develop a particular form of nationalist feeling among the people. The next question, what is meant? Next question, that is, mention any two features of romanticism. What were the two features of romanticism? As we have discussed, a cultural movement which tried to develop a particular sentiment, particular nationalist feeling among the people. What was its two features? Its two feature was it popularized the idea of nation. It popularized the idea of nation through song, folk poetry and folk dances. Romanticism popularized the idea of nationalism through folk songs, music and poetry and folk dances. Second features, the romantic writers and the artists. The romantic writer and the artist criticized the glorification of religion and science, as the ideas which were coming from the West were based on the science, and they tried to prove themselves superior than the East. Then the people, you may say that the Britishers were telling themselves superior than the Indians, and their basis was the science. But our Indian writers, our Indian scholars said that our old culture, our old traditions is more superior than European science. Through the writings, they gave the proofs of the Vedas. Means overall we can say its second feature is that the romantic writers and the artists criticize the glorification of religion and science. As the Western science put a question behind every tradition of India. They asked why. They asked why, but there are many traditions we have which are totally scientifically proved, but we do not know why, and everything cannot be answered in why. I want to say only two things. If it will be asked the two features, then the one feature you will say it popularized the idea of nation through the folk dance, folk song and poetry. Second, romantic writers and the artists criticized the glorification of religion and science. The next question, why did the nationalist tension emerge in the Balkans? It is very important question. What was the reason for the nationalist tension in Balkan? Balkan, it was an area during the 19th century where there was a great fight between the European powers. European powers were fighting among themselves to capture more and more areas of Balkans. This area only led to the starting of the First World War. It was the region only for First World War also. Then let us come on question, why did nationalist tension emerged in Balkans? Why did nationalist tension emerge in Balkans? The nationalist tension emerged in Balkans due to the following reasons. The number one, ethnic and geographical variation of Balkans. In the Balkan areas, the natives of Balkans were different on the basis of their culture. There were no common culture among the people. And this, what is ethnicity? What do you mean by the term ethnic? Ethnic means a social division based on shared culture. So this ethnic division was one reason for the tension in the Balkan areas. The first point, geographical and ethnic variation. Geographical and ethnic variation means the Balkan was a region of geographical and ethnic variation. Balkan was the region of geographical and ethnic variations. It comprises the modern day Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Macedonia, etc., whose natives were broadly called the Slavs. The next, the control of Ottoman Empire. The second point is the control of Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire, it was a Muslim empire, and the natives were, most of the natives were non-Muslims, so they started to fight. They started to put their demands for their independence to be away from the Muslim empires. The next, the role of rebellious nationalists in the Balkans. The Balkan people claimed their independence on the basis of their cultures. They said that earlier they were free, and by the outside forces they were controlled, but now they wanted to be free. For their freedom, they claimed on the basis of their earlier independence and the culture. The next point, role of European powers. Balkan became the scene of the big power rivalries. Many powers, Russia, Persia, England, France, Germany, every European powers tried to control more and more areas of the Balkans. So the competition started among the European powers, and this competition only led to the rise of the First World War. Over for today. It is next day again. I shall come with some more questions. You go through these questions and be connected. Tomorrow again some more questions from this chapter also and from nationalism in India also. Okay.